So it's a dry climate, but you guys have unusual, maybe just for California, but unusual access to water. Water is not, it doesn't seem to be a big issue for you guys.
No more than it is anywhere else in California. We do have abundant sources of it, but just because we have them right now doesn't mean other people aren't trying to get them.
Uh-huh. You have them right now. So do you guys typically have your own wells?
Where we live, yes, we are off of a well.
Most of the vineyards, though, I mean, you have some of the vineyards are in various irrigation districts. So the vineyard we're out today is part of the Woodbridge Irrigation District. It goes back 100+ years. And they have water rights along the McCulmy River. We have on the eastern side another irrigation district that moves water about, and then a lot of the vineyards are on well water as well. One of the things, over the last decade, though, over the last 2 decades, there's been this broad transition from, traditional furrow irrigating to drip irrigation, and that's, allowed the growers to be much more efficient in the use of water, as well as give the vines exactly what they need.
Sure. So that, going from furrow to drip irrigation, how much water does that save, you figure? Percentage-wise, cut it down by 60%?
At least, yeah. I mean, it's a huge, savings in water.
So that's just one of the very small things that make up Lodi's very forward-thinking and ahead of the curve in the whole sustainability practice. You've got this program of rules, Lodi rules, that really serve as a framework and a model for sustainability for the rest of the state, if not the rest of the country's grape growing.
Yeah, we started our sustainable program, which was called an integrated pest management program, over 20 years ago. It started out with a simple tailgate meetings with growers and introducing several different practices, and it's manifested itself over the years into our certification program now, where we have over 20,000 acres certified sustainable Lodi rules for sustainable wine growing that certifies growers on a whole range of practices, from human resources to ecosystem management to water use to soil.
And the farmers are good people. They're not going to go out and rape their lands. Like you said, it's been passed down already from generation to generation. So it's kind of a family practice to take care of the land, because they plan on passing it down to the next generations as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things you take away immediately, that there might be some corporate efficiencies in some of these operations, because I'm surprised, these are some big operations, a lot of acreage, but it's you drive into one of these places and they say, yeah, that's the house my grandfather built in 1905. That's the house my son was raised in. That's the house I grew up in. It's kind of, that people are not going to take that for granted.
Yeah, and even if it's say 1,000-acre site, there is still owl boxes out there. There's still wetland restorations as part of the projects generally. So, yeah, they're very forward-thinking farmers.
So I'm going to go to a couple of questions. First, Bob Fike wants to know, do you guys irrigate?
I think when you look across the region, I mean, it's a grower-by-grower specific thing, but yeah, most of the growers do irrigate, and like I said, most of them are using drip irrigation now. A lot of even our really old vineyards have installed underground drip irrigation in the vineyards too, and allows them, to not only irrigate, but they can add fertilizer and things like that to the vines.
To the roots.
Yeah,
it's actually interesting. I was going to ask, and I just want to mention it so we get back to it. How come I don't see more buried drip as opposed to above ground drip? Because part of the water conservation, you would use less. I interrupted you though, Tim.
No, I think the farmers would use that because, I mean, they like to see how. I mean, they were historically irrigating, just so they could see the water go through their crops. They could see how much they're putting on there. They could see when it has all been absorbed by the land. So maybe it's just something that they just like to see, the water dripping down onto their plants.
I want to make sure that it's working.
Make sure they're getting what they think they are.
The only reason I laugh is because I have farmers in my family, and it's a very farmer kind of thing. I don't trust it. I want to see it. It's okay.
On the flip side of it, though, the coyotes like to chew on the drip lines when they're above ground, and that's a big challenge.
Them a little bit.
They'll bite holes in it, and you'll find all sorts of breaks in irrigation lines from coyotes that can be quite a headache. So
Do coyotes eat grapes
when they're ripe,
when they're ripe? Because I didn't see another thing that I thought was a little surprising. No fence. There's no fencing. There's no deer fencing. There's no fencing
we don't
at
have
all.
nearly the pressures they would do where there's hills and more cover for deers. But there is a significant amount of turkeys running around our area in the outer foothills, and the birds get their fair share as well.
I can imagine.